Good morning, everyone. We'll be starting our service by singing Spirit of Life. We'll do it first in English, then in Spanish, and then back in English again. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí. Y al corazón, cántale tu compasión. Sopla al volar, sube en la mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arraigame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to the possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. Welcome to worship. Today, we gather, as we do in Westside UU congregation, on the unceded ancestral lands of the Duwamish people who are still here carrying forward cultural practices and wisdom that have stewarded this land and surrounding waters for generations. Let us feel ourselves firmly grounded on this land, remembering that we did not arrive here by chance. And let us have the courage to consider our role in the repair of this legacy of violence and erasure. Whoever you are, wherever you have come from, whatever the color of your skin, whoever and however you love, however your body moves and your brain works, however you identify, you are welcome in this faith community. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition has no creed or oath to swear, no test of faith. We have instead the promises that we make to one another, commitments we make to healing a hurting world within and beyond our walls. Welcome, everyone.
As we always do when we gather and make this place holy together, we will light our chalice. And our chalice lighter today is Regina Brennan. Thank you, Regina, for coming forward. Our chalice lighting words today are from Martha Kirby Capo. Don't want to maim the chalice lighter. From Martha Kirby Capo. Through the rest of the week this chalice abides, cupped and silent. Softly it gleams in a dimly lit room, completely unto itself. Today we come together as a community of faith, joyful and free. Our individual energies combine, and we take this moment to spark the flame of truth. May we each draw strength for the other, and like the chalice, may we be bathed in the fire of commitment to justice, equity, and peace. Regina, if you would please light our chalice now. I invite all to join me in speaking the words of our congregation's affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship. Thus do we covenant with one another. Regina, are you okay? Okay, good. Good morning. Good morning on this beautiful day, and welcome to Westside Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I am Lisa Reitzes. I'm a member of the worship team, and it is a great joy to be gathering with you for this service, which begins our summer worship series inspired by the Mary Oliver poem, The Summer Day. If you're with us for the first time or the first time in a while, welcome, welcome. We are so glad that you're here to share in this time, to make some space in your life, to attend to your heart and your spirit, to come together in community. So please visit our website, which you can do by scanning the QR code on the card in the pews, where you there can fill out a welcome form so we can get to know you better, send you our weekly electronic newsletter, the Westside Week. It is so good to see familiar and new faces today. So let's take a few moments to greet the neighbors around us, and I hope you will meet somebody you don't know. That tea light. As always, it is so great to see such enthusiastic greetings. Please, please feel free to continue these conversations after the service at our coffee hour, one floor down. So each week, congregants who agree to light our chalice are given the chance to share of themselves by offering a brief reflection. For some time, we've asked chalice lighters a question, recently, to address what being a UU means to them at this point in their lives. But in keeping with the poetry focus of this summer's worship program, we've added the option to read a short poem and reflect on its meaning and personal significance. Regina, thank you so much for being the first to accept our poetry option.
Good morning, everybody. I picked a poem by Emily Dickinson, which anybody who knows me expects me to, and I would have. And this one is particularly meaningful these days, I can tell you. I'm sure it is for you too. Will there really be a morning? Is there such a thing as day? Could I see it from the mountains if I were as tall as they? Has it feet like water lilies? Has it feathers like a bird? Is it brought from famous countries of which I have never heard? Oh, some scholar, oh, some sailor, oh, some wise man from the skies, please, to tell a little pilgrim where the place called morning lies. Emily Dickinson usually did not date her poems, and she didn't explain them, and she didn't give them titles either. I chose this simple poem of Emily's and gave it a title myself, Another Dark Night of the Soul, which I think many of us have had often over the last few years. I know that I have been waiting for one terrifying event after another to have its way with me and be gone, so that morning can finally arrive, with feet like water lilies and feathers like a bird. COVID, the morass of our city, bad health news, politics, corruption, a very frightening presidential election. Can we have some good news? Can it be today? Can we emerge from darkness to see a brighter way? Oh wait, that's my poem. Sorry. Sounds like a Unitarian Universalist hymn. We should write one. Emily speaks about mourning as if it is a place or a presence, not a time. Maybe that means we must create it ourselves, regardless of what is going on. The way to do that would be through staying grounded in the present, having faith that things are unfolding as they should, and taking action in the direction that you want things to go. The place called mourning lies within us. It is an inside job. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Regina. Really wonderful to hear you speak and to share of yourself.
I invite you all now to rise in body or spirit, and we will be singing hymn number 66, When the Summer Sun is Shining. Thought it was appropriate for today. Okay. When the summer sun is shining. When the summer sun is shining over golden land and sea, and the flowers in the hedgerow welcome butterfly and bee, then my open heart is glowing, full of warmth for everyone, and I feel an inner beauty which reflects the summer sun. When the summer clouds of thunder bring the long-awaited rain, and the thirsty soil is moistened, and the grass is green again. Then I long for summer sunshine, but I know that clouds and tears are a part of life's refreshment, like the rainbow's hopes and fears. In the cool of summer evening, when the dancing insects play, and in garden, street, and meadow linger echoes of the day, then my heart is full of yearning, hopes and memories flood the whole of my being, reaching inwards to the corners of my soul. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Great voices out there today. So now it is our time for all ages, and Reverend Carter will be sharing today's story, or more like an experience, I think. So anyone of any age who wishes to see or hear her better, please come down to sit on the floor. You can, or in the front pews. And while we gather, let me tell you about the religious exploration activities going on this morning downstairs in the social hall. So, as a reminder, religious exploration activities will be offered for children and youth of all ages on the 2nd and 4th Sundays of July and August when we have worship services. We offer a radically inclusive, multi-age Connect and Explore program where we foster relationships, belonging, learning, and fun. So today's activity is imagining and creating travel or traveling altars with teachers Amy Hans-Brancati and Noella Natalino. Reverend Carter. Not quite.
I have the light. Okay, there we go. I do recommend coming down to the front because there will be an opportunity to wiggle around, and there's more space to do that up here.
There you go.
So the book that I'm going to share with you all today is less of a story and more of a meditation exercise. So I want to start us off by getting into a meditative headspace. On the screen, there's going to be a bunch of pictures that slowly appear with the words. And I hope you can pay attention to these pictures and imagine the stories they are telling. But sometimes it can be hard to slow down and pay attention in the middle of a busy day, in a place where there is so much to look at, and maybe there's a lot running through our minds. So for me, I think it helps when we can acknowledge how busy our minds and our bodies feel by doing some wiggles to just get out that energy. You're welcome to stand up if you would like. I know I like to sway back and forth a lot. Come on, let's do it. You can sway, wiggle, however you need. Just give yourself permission to feel any stirring in your body. We don't have to just sit still. Maybe we want to go faster. And then when you're ready, you can slow it down. And find a place of stillness. See, doesn't that stillness feel a little bit different? It feels a little bit less forced. I really appreciate that. You can sit down if you'd like. I think it helps when we want to get into a meditative space to do that. And maybe you're not ready to get really still, but if you are, maybe you can find that you can notice more, and that's really awesome. So as I read through this book, I want you to think about what you notice in the pictures. What are the colors? What are the emotions that you feel? Maybe some of the people that are depicted might remind you of yourself or your family. Maybe some of their emotions seem familiar, some of the stories going on. Notice if they make you feel happy or sad or something else. And there is no right or wrong thing to notice or to feel. It's just about noticing. This is a story about life and all the things that are precious in it. Okay, so let's begin. I'll ask Henry to turn to the first slide. In every birth, blessed is the wonder. In every smile, blessed is the light. In every hope, blessed is the doing. In every sadness, blessed is the comfort. In every moment, blessed is the mystery. In every love, blessed are the tears. And in every life, blessed is the love. Thank you all for sharing in this experience with me. I believe we will sing us out.
Thanks so much, Reverend Carter, for sharing that neat story with all those great images. So now, as our children and youth go to their RE activities out the back, down the stairs, let's all sing As You Go.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life, we hold you in our love as you go.
Just a little stagecraft here. Thank you, David and Rick. So in a moment, we will engage in a collective act of generosity known as our offering, when we take time to actively support Westside UU congregation and its many ministries with our gifts of text, check, or cash. Each month, we choose a community organization to share 1/3 of our undesignated offering gifts. That is, those donations not designated as your pledge contributions. For the month of July, our community giving recipient is the Post-Prison Education Program. The Post-Prison Education Program offers hope and creates opportunities for people returning to society by providing access to higher education. Imprisoned and formerly imprisoned people are offered the tools and human support they need to find gainful, meaningful employment, break free from cycles of hopelessness, poverty, and imprisonment, and become leaders for change. Founded in 2005, the Post-Prison Education Program is the only program in Washington State that offers wraparound services to released prisoners and their families while providing them access, support, and the resources to attain post-secondary education. So you can give by text by sending a message with the $sign and the amount you want to give to the number on the screen. For folks here in the sanctuary who prefer to share your gifts by cash or check, the greeters will move among us shortly. If you'd like your gift to be recorded as coming from you, please use one of the envelopes in the pews. And now please enjoy this gift of music, a river song, composed and sung by Scott Farrell.
So a couple of years ago, I went on a hike by myself, which I love to do, and I went up to Wallace Falls. Anyone been up to Wallace Falls? It's on the way up to Stevens Pass, and it's just beautiful. It's a nice longish hike, and in the middle of it, I just found myself kind of tuned in. You know, that feeling sometimes in nature when it's just like, oh, it's just me and nature, isn't it? There weren't very many people on the trail, and I just started feeling this rhythm, and I started singing, and this little tune started coming to me, and it made me giggle and laugh as the tune started coming. And then when I got home, I started writing out the words, and it took me a couple of years to really get the whole thing put into a song, but this is what ended up coming out. Walking through the forest just the other day, heard a river in the distance, turned to walk that way. As my feet were walking, I remembered a song I hadn't sung before, yet it was clear and so strong. It was ringing in my heart the closer I got. I felt like it was leading me to some sacred spots. As I neared the river, it grew stronger still, merging with the sound of water over the hill. My steps were keeping time, and as my heart beat along, breathing in the mountain air, I started singing this song. It's just your imagination, let it run away with you. Laugh and play, give birth to something fresh and new. There's a world you can create, and all you've got to do is trust your imagination, let it run away with you. My heart was filled with joy as I repeated my tune. I laughed while I was singing on that green afternoon. My body felt alive like a curious child. I walked right up that hill and saw the river so wild. Still singing, I climbed down the bank, my steps feeling light. Picked up a stick, threw it in, and as it left my sight, that stick there in the river made me think of my life. How I often try to push the current, make my own strife. Forget to trust the river as it flows to the sea. Forget to listen to the song that's singing in me. It's just your imagination, let it run away with you. Laugh and play, give birth to something fresh and new. There's a world you can create, and all you've got to do is trust your imagination, let it run away with you. As gently as the song came in, it faded away and left me with a vision of that glorious day. But all I need to do is choose to sing it again, and up my spirit rises and I'm back in that glen, bathing in the river mist and feeling the glow of the sun-kissed mountains and the valley below, and that sacred moment when my heart was set free, opening my mind to everything I can be. For as I trust the river and I learn to let go, the world's my river oyster. I'm a lucky so-and-so. It's just your imagination, let it run away with you. Laugh and play, give birth to something fresh and new. There's a world you can create, and all you've got to do is trust your imagination, let it run away with you. It's just your imagination, let it run away with you. Laugh and play, give birth to something fresh and new. There's a world you can create, and all you've got to do is trust your imagination. Trust your imagination. Trust your imagination, let it run away with you.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Scott. I really appreciate when you share your creations. So good. It was fun to see everybody out singing too. During each of our services, we take a moment to make space for holding the joys and sorrows of this community. As a reminder, if you would like a joy or sorrow to be shared from the pulpit or in our newsletter, you can find a form to submit that also in our newsletter. This morning, we have a couple of joys. First, a celebration and gratitude for all who came out to march in Seattle Pride with our contingent. There were a number of people carrying our sign, Westside UU. It was a wonderful way to share what we're about in the wider community and build in partnership with other UU congregations. And it was a milestone for me as a queer minister. I thank you all for sharing in that moment. And we have a note from Jade Wild as well. She says, I want to give my warmest thanks to everyone for the love, care, and the sentiments of appreciation that I have been offered as I transition out of this role of DRE at Westside. I am so grateful for the opportunity to work with our wonderful children, youth, families, RE volunteers, and to have experienced the joyful collaboration and support of this ministry. So lots of love, Jade. We're going to have a time of ritual in a moment, but before we do that, please join me in a time of prayer and meditation. Let us call out to a greater love, spirit of life, whatever helps us connect to something larger than ourselves. And I know so many of us today are feeling some tension, fear. The instability of our world, of our political situation, touches us in our core. And it seems that instability and uncertainty grow by the day. We are being shaped by violence around us, by division, hateful acts, too many weapons, too much money in a weapons industry. Our lives are less safe daily. War, political violence, workplace violence, school violence, community violence. We mourn for all of it. Let us acknowledge our fear, whether the fear is new or something all too familiar. Let us grieve what is lost when we struggle to look to the world in front of us with hope. This is a loss. May our lamentations be lifted up, and may we still find ways to insist a better world is possible. Amen. And so we will take a time to honor all the joys and sorrows here in this community with an embodied ritual. During this time, you are invited to approach our altar table from the side aisles. place a stone in one of these water bowls and return to your seat via the center aisle. As you hold your stones, take a moment to fill them with prayerful intention. As you place them in the bowl, feel all that you are holding in your hearts, mingling with the joys and sorrows of this community. For those who are joining remotely, you are invited to join in this ritual as well. You may hold a stone or another sacred object and do the same. And maybe you have an altar or a special place or a spot on your table next to a chalice. You may want to use care and intention to place this object down as you join us. Now, let us begin. Now let us hold one more moment of silence to hold in our hearts all the joys and sorrows, both known and unknown in our community. Let us lift each other up in love, as well as our neighbors in the wider human community. We will follow this time of silence with singing.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all I rest in. This love, there is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all
Here is The Summer Day by Mary Oliver. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is, but I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? I do know how to pay attention, she writes, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down into the grass, how to be idle and blessed. There's a kind of paying attention that Mary Oliver speaks of here, which I think of as getting quiet, leaving aside all manner of distractions, honing the senses so as to become aware of things easy to miss when moving too fast or just being unconscious from the routine of the everyday. Getting quiet and focused enough to notice subtle changes in the light in the sky, small critters on plants, faraway sounds in the night, the slightest shift in body language or tone in a personal interaction. In this poem, Oliver describes how she changes her physical relationship with nature to heighten her ability to pay attention to it. How to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass. Now, can't you just smell that grass and feel the shapes of its blades against your body? But she adds, and this is important, I do know how to be idle and blessed. To stop, get quiet, and receive all that her senses can take in. But I think also of another kind of paying attention, which is prompted by an urgent and sometimes very loud message, something that jars the senses, knocks us out of our routines or settled states of being, something that demands our engagement and commitment and probably faith. Could be a warning, watch out, be careful, that literally saves us from missteps. Could be a sudden realization that something new has entered our reality, insisting on the embrace of new perspectives. Listen to me, think again. Or it could be, as is the tradition during the Jewish high holidays, the sharp and almost unearthly sound of the blowing of the shofar, the ram's horn. Wake up, take action. A sound that can't be ignored, makes the hairs stand up on the back of your neck, a sound which is meant to rouse the community from our unconscious and inattentive slumbers, to answer the call of a new year that demands renewed purpose and dedication to healing the world, especially in uncertain times. Get quiet and hear the call.
I love how rich the service is today with imagery and talks of dreams and talks of things. And this song has a lot of these images. I've been dreaming a lot lately, and it happens to me when there's a lot of things to settle in the world and in my life, and dreams become very alive for me. And so this song came to, I thought this will be a good song for today. So we'll sing this song. I am dreaming of a riverbank, mists enshroud the further shore. I am standing in a wooden boat, in my hands a golden oar. Will I row against the current, or let myself be carried out to sea? Where I reach land at last is up to the river, but the journey is up to me. Time to sail, reluctant pilgrim. My fear is all I've got to lose. Life is nothing but a dreamscape, and the dream is mine to choose. I am racing down a corridor, endless doors on either side. I could open any one of them, step on through and change my life. Sometimes I stand there on the threshold, afraid to leave my bright familiar hall. Sometimes I spend my days running by so quickly, I don't see the doors at all. Step on through, reluctant pilgrim. My fear is all I've got to lose. Life is nothing but a dreamscape, and the dream is mine to choose. I am waking in a forest glade. Needles of pine are in my hair. I see pathways through the underbrush, leading to I don't know where. I hear strange noises in the thickets, and I know some trails may not lead where they seem. Pain may await me, but I know if I stay here, I'll sleep right through my dream. Find a way, reluctant pilgrim. My fear is all I've got to lose. Life is nothing but a dreamscape, and the dream is mine to choose. Let us sail, reluctant pilgrim. pilgrims. Our fears are all we've got to lose. Life is nothing, nothing but a dreamscape, and the dreams are ours to choose. Ours to choose.
I don't know exactly what a dream is, what a prayer is. I don't know exactly what a prayer is, but I do know how to pay attention. In this snippet, Mary Oliver so beautifully offers us a vision of attention as a spiritual practice akin to prayer. For those times when we want to connect with some greater power, expand our sense of aliveness, call out for answers, we turn to what we know, which is the world around us, the place we are, the present moment. For many of us Unitarian Universalists, we may have a complicated relationship with prayer, or maybe little to no relationship with prayer, but we all have a relationship to attention. And isn't attention, as much as prayer, a timeless spiritual pursuit? Throughout human history, major contemplative traditions have emerged from the human need to connect soul to world, to a larger sense of interbeing. We think of the focused study of Christian monks, the attention they pay to their holy text, their craft work, or if we've spent time exploring Buddhist meditation, we know that the first and central instruction is to seek presence by paying attention to our senses and our breath. There are so many deep wisdom traditions that offer us attention as a path to connection, a method for really seeing the beauty of the world, for finding a center and living from it. So throughout our service today, I hope you are taking this invitation to pay attention to your attention. I want to share with you all some practices and some encouragement to cultivate your attention more intentionally. And maybe there will be something that sticks for you. If so, wonderful. But before we get into that, I want to remind you that we are inspired by the line here that says, I do know how to pay attention. And I think that this is true for all of us, not just the brilliant poet who spends her days wandering through the field, consulting grasshoppers. We, all of us, by being endowed with the gift of our beautiful minds, have the ability to be present in our lives, to pay attention with care and reverence. And it really can be like a prayer. We do know how. There's this really wonderful book by journalist Casey Schwartz called Attention, a Love Story. It begins with her long and complicated relationship to the ADHD medication Adderall, and then winds through this cultural history of attention and an examination of the rise of the attention economy and how it's shaping our lives. In the epilogue, she's reflecting on this journey she's been on trying to understand what attention is and how to have good, perfect attention. And she concludes that she can't hone her attention enough to reach enlightenment or even maximum productivity. It's been an impossible endeavor, and in her words, she now understands attention doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it never is and never has been, but it is ours to pay as we choose, and therein lies its power and its preciousness. So friends, let us find that power and preciousness by being choiceful about our attention. We acknowledge that attention is fully ours, cannot be perfected, and is not something that needs to be taught, some skill outside of ourselves to master. And I think it also helps to practice, to find some tools that work for us as we figure out what kind of paying attention adds meaning to our lives. My own attention journey has been largely shaped by mindfulness practices connected to Buddhist lineages and traditions. I have this distinct memory of being a freshman in college, and I had attended a few of sessions of the mindfulness club. And maybe after my third or fourth session, I was walking around campus, and I was noticing the way the wind swayed in the trees and the way the light hit them was particularly magnificent. And it was next to a parking lot. It was nothing special. But I noticed how beautiful it was, and then I noticed that this was an uncommon experience for me. I remember wondering why it had never been so vivid for me in the past. And it seems cliche now to think like, oh, the light in the trees. But it really made a difference. And I can feel how over a decade of meditation practice has changed the quality of my day-to-day life in these subtle ways. Like, I really am, more consistently, not perfectly, able to notice how it feels to be in my body, in the world, in the present moment. And also I can notice that these things are constantly changing. My body, the world, the present moment, how it feels is not static. For me, that's why Zen Buddhism has really clicked, because there's this focus on experiential learning, not putting forth effort to understand esoteric teachings. When I've attended monastery retreats, we are given the structure of a schedule to hold us in our practice. We are invited in the Zendo not only to meditate, but also to practice prostrations together, to move through the space in specific ways with specific postures. Out of the Zendo, we don't hurry through the hallways. We do bow to one another in greeting, and we use our voices sparingly or not at all. These practices can seem really strict and constraining from the outside, but we are told that they are invitations, not rules. They help us cultivate a quality of attention that we may find benefit from. We are not chastised for bowing incorrectly or choosing not to bow. But when we bow, we get to see what it feels like to pause, to offer a humble greeting with our bodies. We are not there to serve the practices serve us. It is like the Jewish teaching that reminds practitioners that the Sabbath is not a practice for glorifying God, but rather that God made the Sabbath as a gift for humans. To observe Sabbath time means to pause and pay a different quality of attention to our life, to our connections with others, with one another and the holy. So there's some attention cultivating practices, meditation and intentional Sabbath time. They have served generations of seekers so well, and there are so many resources out there if you are interested in taking up any of these or restarting or just learning more. I especially like this book, Present Moment, Wonderful Moment. It's a book by Thich Nhat Hanh of short poems about daily activities that we can recite to gently bring us back to the present moment. These little verses he calls gattas. He has gattas for things like stepping out of bed, washing our hands, drinking tea, going up and down the stairs, turning on the computer, even hugging and using the toilet. He has these poems that you can write and post them around the house. Like at my kitchen sink in the past, I had this gatta for turning on the water and remembering to marvel at it. The poem says, "Water flows from high mountain sources. Water runs deep in the earth. Miraculously, water comes to us and sustains all life." Just like that, these gattas are sweet and simple practices for infusing mindful awareness into simple daily activities. What a difference that can make. And a resource from Roshi Jan Chosen Bays, abbot of Great Vow Zen Monastery. There's this book called Mindfulness on the Go, and it has little practices to help snap us out of our routine and pay more attention. And she encourages people to try each one out for a week or so and then reflect on what that does and what we can learn from it. So there's things like using your non-dominant hand every time you brush your teeth. It's simple, but I've tried it. It's actually quite challenging to remember. She says you can pause and take a breath anytime you enter a doorway. You can place your fork down between each bite of a meal. There are so many ways to remind ourselves to pay attention, and the advice out there is not just coming from Zen teachers. Last fall, there was this article in the New York Times, of all places, about the latest TikTok trend sweeping the nation, taking off, especially among young women. It's called silent walking. It's basically going for a walk. But the point is to not wear headphones, not talk on the phone, go alone, and make a habit of doing this regularly. And we laugh because it's not revolutionary. Most of us have heard of going for a walk. But it's maybe not something we're actually in the habit of doing. The people quoted in this article were amazed by how these silent walks allowed them to enter a flow state, different than they usually experienced in the normal day. They appreciated the beauty of being able to hear themselves think, and found these walks to become cornerstones of their mental well-being and also creativity practice. I think what strikes me about this trend is the wonder and joy that it sparks in people who adhere to it. Like, we live in a world that is so full of distractions. It feels novel, exciting, revolutionary to find a tool that helps us to just be, to check in with ourselves. Thinking about others who have cultivated their attention with purpose, I noticed that great art is often born out of a dedicated practice of attention. Explaining her creative writing process, the writer Marina Keegan wrote, "About 3 years ago, I started a list. It began in a marbled notebook but has since evolved inside the walls of my word processor. Interesting stuff, that's what I call it. I'll admit it's become a bit of an addiction. I add to it in class, in the library, before bed, and on trains. It has everything from descriptions of a waiter's hand gestures to my cab driver's eyes, to strange things that happen to me or the way that somebody phrased something. I have 32 single-spaced pages of interesting stuff." And maybe some of you have read David Sedaris. He's another example of what can come from paying attention. It's a little more comedic. When we pay attention, it's this way of saying, this matters. With our precious time and energy here on earth, we want to apply ourselves to this and not something else. We want to be here and now, not some other place or time. Art is a way of lifting that noticing out of the singular moment, sharing it with others, and making larger meaning of it. It is the power and the preciousness of our attention. There's this word we often use in religious communities that gets at this a little bit, witness. I think witness speaks to that power that attention can have when used with choicefulness. What I'm trying to say here is that paying attention is not just some little tip or trick to make the world feel sweeter, or that it's this serious undertaking for people who really want to find inner peace and dedicate their whole lives to that. Attention is this way of more deeply being, interbeing with those that we share this world with. And in this world where there is literally a market for our attention on social media platforms, to be choiceful about where we put our attention is so absolutely difficult and a form of resistance. It might be a topic for another venue, but it's a fun fact, I'm not on social media, and when people ask me why, I say it's because these platforms got over a decade of attention from me, starting at age 12. And I think that that's enough. They don't get any more of it. But back to witness. It's a form of an attention that is itself an act of love and an important part of our journey to liberation. There's this story I've heard a few places about a group of Quaker activists who were part of a movement for peace and nuclear disarmament. They would gather out in the desert to witness the nuclear testing that the US government was conducting. There was nothing they could do to disrupt the testing. Nonviolent resistance was too difficult. But they still wanted it to be known that someone is watching. We are paying attention. Whether a quiet defiance or a loud warning like the shofar, paying attention and calling others to attention can be a profound form of protest. We wake up and engage with the world and are often called into action out of that witness. So as we close out here, I want to invite you one more time into a time of attention. And just as I shared in the Time for All Ages, I want to remind you that inner stillness is not the only way to pay attention. However still your heart and mind are, what can you notice right now in this moment? There is no right or wrong answer. There is only your attention. This is a powerful tool that you carry with you every moment of every day. Your attention can be honed or hijacked or simply forgotten about. Try not to forget that it is yours, and you have a right to choose how you use it. Your attention is power, it is love, it is prayer. And I want to close with a responsive reading. So there's this reading that I found really beautiful, and I'm going to speak some words, and then you'll respond with, we are called to pay attention. So can we practice? We are called to pay attention. And hopefully it should be obvious. I'll pause, and then maybe I'll make a hand gesture. This is a reading that helps remind us of the importance of our attention, to declare its power. These words are by Amanda Udis Kessler. Let's start off saying, we are called to pay attention. We are called to pay attention to our individual lives, to our delights and pains. We are called to understand and cherish ourselves, to take good care of ourselves, to know ourselves as loving and worthy of love. In paying attention to our lives, we give thanks for all that is good in them and work to make the best decisions we can to help us to live fully and joyfully. We are called to pay attention. We are called to pay attention to the people in our lives, to celebrate their joys with them and to tend to them in their struggles. We are called to bring our compassion, kindness, and patience to our relationships as we are grateful for the compassion, kindness, and patience that others show to us. In paying attention to the people in our lives, we give thanks for their presence and work to support them to the best of our abilities. We are called to pay attention. We are called to pay attention to the society in which we live. We are called to understand the ways in which the lives of people we don't know and may never know are made harder by political and economic realities that value some kinds of people over others. In paying attention to our society, we give thanks for the many people who are working for justice, and we join in working with them so that all people are treated with the dignity and worthiness that they possess. We are called to pay attention. We are called to pay attention to the more than human world around us. We are called to understand how our decisions help this world to flourish or cause it harm. In paying attention to the natural world, we give thanks for the ways it sustains and enriches our lives, and we commit to living sustainably so that all beings have the chance to live, and so that many generations after our own can celebrate this planet and its gifts. We are called to pay attention. Thank you all. Love, compassion, gratitude, and the demands of justice call us to pay attention. As we pay attention, we bless ourselves, each other, our society, and our world. May we hear the call to pay attention, and may we do what we can to answer that call. We do know how to pay attention. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Carter. And we invite you all to rise in body or spirit once again, and we're going to be singing The Oneness of Everything, which is hymn number 1052 in the teal-colored hymnals, if you are singing along. So, far beyond the grasp of hands, or light to meet the eye, past the reaches of the mind. There find the key to nature's harmony, in an architecture so entwined. Like the birds whose patterns grace the sky and carry all who join in love expanding, the message of peace will rise in flight, taking the weight of the world upon its wings, in the oneness of everything. Third verse. Still we seek to find a truth that we might understand and reduce to terms defined. Vast and immeasurable time and space, also overwhelmingly designed. Oh, passing years might we just know the faith that winters in the heart, to be reborn in spring, to hear and to feel the pulse of life enters my soul as a song to sing of the oneness of everything. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to Scott and Ronnie Bishop, our musicians in-house, and a special thanks to Sean Schlogel, who stepped in at very short notice to assist with the musical elements. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you to Regina Brennan for the wonderful reflection and chalice lighting, Nate and Henry in the booth for our tech expertise, to the ushers and hospitality team. As always, it is a pleasure and blessing to do this sacred work together. And let's continue our time together at coffee hour downstairs. So members and friends, please do make sure to look at the latest edition of the West Side Week, which came out on Friday. Loads of information about summer activities and programs to get on your calendars. Let me just highlight a couple of items. The West Seattle Summerfest Street Fair continues this afternoon, and the West Side booth, located near the intersection of California Avenue and Oregon Street, has been a great success. You've seen pictures up in the rolling images. Thanks to Steve Finney and his organizing team for creating this excellent visibility for our congregation, to all the volunteers who have staffed the booth and engaged with our neighbors. Speaking of our community outreach and interfaith connections, Westsiders will have the chance to join with Alki United Church of Christ to support the Welcome Table in White Center, with donations of food and gifts of time, serving lunch on Saturday, August 3rd. Regina Brennan is once again coordinating this example of love in action. Please see the newsletter for instructions on how to participate. And finally, make sure to save the date for our in-gathering on Sunday, September 8th. Details about the worship and social activities for that day will be announced in the next month. One thing that will definitely happen that Sunday morning is our water ceremony. So if you go places or stay close to home this summer, think about putting aside a small bit of water to bring for that favored ritual. Our next Sunday service will be on July 28th, when Reverend Carter and Rick Taylor will continue to explore the Mary Oliver poem with a service entitled, "This Grasshopper I Mean."
One more time, will you please rise in body or spirit for our closing words from Barbara Hallway. She writes, "Go now in peace. Deeply regard each other. Truly listen to each other. Speak what each of you must speak. Be ready in any moment to disarm your heart. And always live as if a realm of love had already begun." And now I'll invite Regina forward to release our flame. As she does so, may you go into your week blessed and blessing the world. We hold you in our love as you go.
Amen. 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 Sing it over. Amen. Amen.
Good pleasure, Ronnie. Good times, man.